What's going on, guys? Alrighty, so today we're going to be going through Reddit Overemployed, and I'm just going to be going through and just reading some posts, see if we can find anything interesting, see if we can find anything entertaining, or possibly learn anything by looking through this. So I'll probably just stick to maybe things posted within the week. Um, but yeah, so here we go. So this first one says gambling away power and influence as overemployed. I don't know what this guy is talking about. It sounds kind of interesting. So something. I think it depends on your profession. To get ahead as a doctor or lawyer, you don't have to step on others. You just have to work damn hard, take on a lot of student debt, and sacrifice your free time and social life along the way. Other more ambiguous paths, like climbing the corporate ladder, absolutely involve showboating, being political, and stepping on others in many cases. And this, I guess, is from r/ask men. So it's basically saying doctors, all they have to do is work hard and make a lot of sacrifices. Where if you go the corporate route, you're going to have to take advantage of people, presumably, is what they're saying. So this guy's saying, on reading this comment from r/ask men about career choices and dating, I was reminded that climbing the corporate ladder means a lot of politicking and manipulative behavior. A lot of us just aren't interested in being that kind of person, so we don't climb the ladder and get stuck at senior positions, or more to the point, we reject promotions for overemployed. Okay, how many people are actually rejecting promotions for to be overemployed? I would say that's probably rare, probably not happening that much, but if it is happening, that's really interesting. Um oh wow. Okay, this is interesting. Top 1% community? Really? So Overemployed is in the top 1% of largest communities on Reddit, 158,000. So that's really interesting. So it's created in 2021 as well. I didn't realize that it was like that large compared to Reddit. I figured it was still very niche, but I guess it's just expanding and getting larger. And yeah. So anyway, we have found a more subversive form of manipulation and financial gain as individual contributors, but in doing so, are we sacrificing power? Those of us not accepting promotions and not moving up the ladder means we have less influence. Are we gambling away our future influence? Um, I think this guy in particular is kind of missing the forest for the trees. Like, for example, let me hold up. For example, so he's saying sacrificing promotions specifically to not go up the corporate ladder just so you can take on more work, take on more jobs, which indicatively means that you have less influence, which means that you are kind of, I think presumably he's saying that, I doubt he really necessarily cares about having influence. Maybe he does. But in the case that he doesn't, he's saying, I'm the first on the chopping block when companies start going under. That part is true. But as far as if you want influence, then yes, obviously you're going to want to climb the corporate ladder just to get that title and to be over people. I don't think that's really the goal for most people doing overemployment, though. To be quite honest, it's mainly just uh, for financial purposes and not really for status related purposes. And so he says, are we gambling away our future influence? Well, the other thing you have to keep in mind is that the amount of influence that you necessarily have working a corporate job in general is going to be severely diminished compared to if you are, for say, running your own business or doing, freelancing or anything like that. So just getting a job in general, you're sacrificing influence, period. Now, as far as becoming a middle manager or senior manager, obviously, if that's something that you actually aspire or want to do, then it doesn't really necessarily coincide with overemployment. Not 100%. It's not like totally against it. They can definitely work hand in hand, but at the end of the day, it's not really, it's kind of like two completely different paths. Essentially, I would say that most people pursuing overemployment have accepted that they aren't really trying to become a senior level manager for the most part, I would say, just because that responsibility is quite high. And and it's kind of on their plate as far as making things happen. Whereas if you're lower on the totem pole, you just have a smaller responsibility, which means that in the event that things don't go perfectly, it's not blood on your hands intrinsically, right? So I think they're kind of missing that point. Obviously, you're trying to make money, and it's not necessarily an end all be all, right? Overemployment is obviously like a pseudo stepping stone to some sort of fire, which is like retirement early of sort, which means just leaving all of your jobs altogether, or potentially starting your own business, or potentially getting into freelancing, or maybe something else. But I don't think we're not necessarily, trying to stay overemployed for life per se. But at the same time, you could say that if you are overemployed, you're gaining more experience at a faster rate, which means that you potentially could garner faster promotions than other people because you simply have more experience. And so this guy's saying you're trading power and influence within an organization for power and influence over your own life. That feels like a good trade-off to me. I agree. Yep, I don't care about power within my career. I just want to get paid and get required working over with. My plan, here we go, is to save up enough by age 45 so I can soft retire. Then I'd like to be working one very flexible job after that. I'm hoping my job 2 is still around by then and should be an easy low 6 figures by then because it's extremely flexible, has a ton of freedom, and I enjoy working there. Because of overemployment, I'm able to max out my 401k and save an additional $60,000 to $80,000 per year, helping to ensure that I will have plenty of retirement funds to not worry about my income in soft retirement. Basically, the job in soft retirement will be enough income to support me and my family without being forced to continue to work until regular retirement age and not have to use any retirement / investments until retirement age. I mean, yeah, that's an interesting thought idea. I would say, I don't know how old this person is, but quote unquote by age 45. I mean, if you're in your 20s, that's 20 years away. Predicting that far in the future, I don't think is really I think at this point, the way things are going, I don't think that makes necessarily any sense at all. I think the speculation aspect of that is kind of asinine, to be honest. I would say it's a kind of a discussion for another time, though. But I would say the overall premise of what he's doing is solid, regardless of his prospective future guesses or whatever. Would you pay $150K a year to have more power and influence at your job 1? Why not both? He's missing, obviously, that's a joke. But yeah, I mean, that's the point. Like, would you pay your salary? That's pretty funny. Would you pay your salary to have more influence at your job? I think everyone would say no, because it's ridiculous. There's no such thing as power and influence while working on another man's farm. Overemployed proverbs, okay? One day I want to make a book of overemployed proverb wisdom. Yeah, maybe I could put that together. You know what I mean? I think I'll have to start jotting that down now. Don't mind if I do. Hang on, I'm pulling up my notes. This is not working. Okay, there we go. I found it. Hang on. Pull that up. Okay, I'm going to jot this down. Going to do that one. Don't mind if I do. Okay. Yeah, beating you to the punch, low needle worker 4693. Okay, so gonna remember that one. Okay, my managers keep getting fired in restructurings. I'm not sure managerial positions are worth having. Yeah, I mean, that's a really important thing too. Like, even though that you might be lower on the totem pole per se, managers get cut as well as departments as a whole. So I really would honestly say it's just more or less out of your control, to be honest. That's just my opinion. Let's see. Pretty much nobody outside of your workplace cares about your rank and influence there. So true. Money talks, and overemployed OEers. We make a lot of it. There you go. I'll take the cash any day over some BS title and promotion. I agree completely. BS title and promotion is worthless. Exactly. Only fools allow ego inflation, praises, titles, etc., to substitute for monetary compensation. Now, I don't fully agree with that. I don't fully agree with that, because there is something to be said for titles. There is something to be said for praise, status, and things like that. You can't separate, and he goes into it right here, you can't separate that from the human psyche. That stuff is important, but you have to be able to humble yourself in that way and tackle what really matters to you, and put those things off to the side, and understand that maybe you aren't going to get all of the praise, all the titles that you necessarily want right now, but further down the line you could have way more than what you have now. So I think thinking ahead is a much better idea on the long-term plate. And then he says, as tribal animals, it's human instinct to want to rank up with your tribe, but once you realize that your coworkers are not your tribe, your friends, family, and community are, and drop all pretenses, then you can keep your eye on the real prize, dollar bills. Work is for money, nothing else. Yeah, I mean, it's sad to say this, but just the way things are in society, coworkers are definitely not your tribe. I mean, HR is literally working 24/7 to get you fired for making a off-color joke. So, that alone tells you everything you need to know about the workplace, to be honest. So, not to say don't do a great job, but, I think you understand what I'm getting at. I make more than majority of directors in tech and most executives in F500, Fortune 500 companies, LOL. 750 to 900K a year is no joke. So he makes $750,000. Overemployed PM, project manager, I guess. I'm guessing he's a project manager. I'm an SVP and haven't done any of those things. I don't know what SVP means. SVP, senior vice president. Okay, duh. I'm a senior vice president and haven't done any of those things, and have climbed the ladder by being competent and knowing how to manage social situations that work in a positive and helpful way. I still do OE and benefit even more because of it. So your point doesn't make any sense from my experience. Yeah, that's so true. Like, who's to say you can't get promotions, right? While you're being overemployed. I think that's kind of, to his point, it's devoid of reality, because if you're doing a great job, then there you go. You can absolutely rise in a corporate culture without being a complete sociopath. And I'd bet the majority of people saying you can't have never been in that position. Okay, agreed. I'm a mechanical engineer. It's the same story. You rise by being competent and knowing how to communicate that information. You're given management roles so you have more labor power to accomplish your goals. Makes me feel bad for the other fields that are so tarnished with the rat race aspects. Okay, I'm just saying that you need to change for others behind you. I think overemployment is a short-term solution to a bigger problem, better solved by changing laws and corporate culture. I mean, there's a lot to unpack with that. You know what I mean? That can be a video all in of itself. I might make one. I'll jot that down as a video idea. Actually, edit to. I mean, why do I have to make $500,000 a year just to maintain a house and retire? Right? Yeah. And I don't know if it's even worth to even talk about that. Is that something I really even want to talk about? Maybe not. What are we doing as overemployed? I don't know if I necessarily want to talk about the bigger theoretical societal issues that are forcing OE. I think I'd rather just talk about the boots on the ground aspect of it. Only go snowballing costs, living wages is going to escalate. Being a CEO or director, one could change that, making it so CEOs don't make 200x the salary of regular employees, for example. Cringe, cringe, cringe. Okay, all of this is kind of seeming kind of cringe. You give up 5% raises by pursuing a 100% raise, taking on a J2. I don't mind being a baseline data analyst employee, making the same as an analytics VP. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. What quote unquote power to what? Okay, this guy is responding to the original poster or whatever. What quote unquote power to command employees? You make more money than your boss. You can hire employees if you want. Power of free time. You're going to retire a decade or more before your boss. Power to not do the work you don't want to do. My sibling in Christ, that is always an option. You don't need to OE to set boundaries and stick to them. That's true. I don't think you are gambling away your future influence. You are, through your choices, justly influencing the only person whose opinion matters, and at the end of the day, yourself. Okay. I mean, we don't have to get super, I guess, like hedonistic or necessarily super egotistical about these things. But obviously, like, there's a problem, and this is a solution to that problem. And that's kind of just the bottom line. Reading the replies, it sounds like we've given up hope to influence or change corporate culture from the inside. Bro, what are you saying? So moving up the ladder is not going to change anything, so screw it. Yeah, obviously. Are you insane? That is not happening. What planet are you living on? That's never happening. Um, this guy. Why do you think we're doing this? Because it's not going to change. That's a whole nother. Yeah. Frustration working under leadership. I have the power to say no thanks. Dangling money. Okay, so we get the point here. I think it's ran its course. That was just like, are we gambling away power and influence as overemployed? Kind of a cringe take now that I kind of ran through it. But interesting topic nonetheless. Let's see what this guy has to say. My manager left, so my J2 manager gave his 2 weeks 2 months ago. I'm stuck picking up most of his stuff because I'm most senior. Extra meetings, planned and unplanned, and more workload isn't good for overemployed. I'm not getting more compensation or anything while they search for a replacement. So far, I'm averaged an extra 5 hours of meetings weekly, which isn't horrible for a single job, but really bad for overemployed as I'm falling behind on job one. At this point, I'm ready to turn in my notice as I can't maintain this role and my job one because my new manager will need to some time to learn. So say 2 to 3 more months, and me helping plus new manager might not let's see what he said, might not all in my stuff booking overemployed. Should I start the hunt for a replacement? Annoying. Job 2 is higher paying and permanent remote. Job 1 mentioned they will review for remote quarterly. I told director I'm not happy with the extra stress. He keeps telling me give me some more time. What are they going to do if you simply don't pick up those additional unpaid duties, fire you, and now have to fill 2 positions? He keeps telling me, give me some more time, give me some more money. Right now, he's getting free work out of you as long as it's costing him less than hiring a new boss position. He's got no reason to actually ever do so. That's true. Yeah, I suppose. This last paragraph is a good point, OP. Someone recently did a survey of companies and their job postings. Some companies left their job postings up even though they were drawing down in order to make it look like they're doing fine. Other companies had job openings posted for positions they never intended to fill. We've heard this before because they wanted the employees doing the extra work of those positions to think that there was a light at the end of the tunnel. That's very deceptive. And eventually someone would be hired to fill those roles. That's very deceptive. I haven't heard that they leave them open just to deceive their current employees. I mean, I believe it, to be quite honest, but I haven't heard that before. I have heard them, essentially they're just required to put these positions out there and they aren't planning on hiring. Don't trust your company to do the right thing when the right thing isn't profitable, for sure. Okay, so that post is whatever. Let's see, current camera culture in companies. Yeah, let's talk about this. At my job one, nobody ever has a camera on. Sometimes it gets turned on, but you can tell they have tape over it or broken the lens. You see the static? I have some black epoxy. I used to seal the smart card in tight. It worked a treat to cover the camera and matches the bezel beautifully. Job 2 demands the camera on in all calls, and I already messed up and they were able to spy on me when I was at job 1? What? They were able to spy on me when I was at job 1. It was extremely unprofessional. Someone made a comment on the call and I just told them I was helping my roommate. I'm not sure what he means by spy. I put some glue and lint over the lens so they shipped a new laptop and I have no idea what to do. I've not unpacked it yet. I saw the delivery guy toss it in my ring, so it gave me the idea that I might claim it was damaged to buy some more time. I am hideously ugly and it makes me unconfident in meetings, so I don't like to show my face. Plus my job 1, I have to use a big monitor. I don't want job 2 to spy on what I'm doing. It is proprietary. When my face is not showing, I can speak very well. Is it becoming common to have a camera on in meetings now? Is there a good way to identify and weed out companies that like to violate your privacy like this? Yeah, the camera stuff is super annoying. And not only is it commonplace in certain companies, but some are asking you to download stuff on your computer so they can count your keystrokes, see where you're surfing, and have access to your camera and turn it on when they want to. I find that extremely intrusive personally. I would never put that on my personal computer. Yeah, I mean, that last part, access to your camera and turn it on when they want to? No way. Nope. Nope. No way. Almost all remote jobs will provide you with a machine. Using a personal machine often isn't an option, and you can bet that the vast majority of those machines can monitor your activity however they see fit. Yeah, I mean, that's true, but I don't think it's relevant. I don't think most employers really care as long as you're meeting the deadlines. If they do care, um, it is what it is, right? And then you just move on because look, we don't have time for you to measure our keystrokes. If you have multiple jobs, then it's irrelevant. Look, I'm getting the job done. That's the bottom line. Uh, and if you want to hire someone else, it is what it is. Um, and I think that's one of the key things about overemployment is like having that power to just say, hey, look, this is how I'm running my life, and if the company is not aligned with that, then you just say goodbye. And we couldn't always do that as workers in the past, so this is definitely a huge revolution. And obviously, companies aren't liking that, but at the end of the day, there's going to be some that are realistic and others that aren't, and that's just how it is. And there's no way to weed it out. It's just going to be trial and error. Such is life. I would never stand for that, even if it was a company computer. Turning your camera on, I will. Hell no. Yeah, exactly. That's probably not even legal, to be honest. So I'm not sure. WTF? Why do you need to download stuff in your laptop computer if it's yours that's going away? So yeah, obviously you're gonna have to download stuff on a company computer. I mean, this guy is just ridiculous. The problem that is their computer. The only solution to this is to leave that job. Yep. And I'm not sure that it would be wise to wait until they gather enough evidence to come after you and retaliate. This is ridiculous. Don't worry about retaliating. Don't worry about, yeah, I'm going to sue them for. No, look, forget all of that. Just mind your business. Do what you got to do. And if you feel things are leaning in the wrong direction, obviously you will know ahead of time, and you have to start taking action. And yeah, I mean, it's tough. The job market is tough out there, and there's really only so much you can do. But yeah, it is what it is. And talking about retaliate, whatever, dude, come on, you're insane. Just move on, get a new job. It's that simple. You don't have to do all this crazy stuff. And it's probably just a complete waste of time. Not to forget that, right? Let me check. Okay. Okay. Can they turn the camera on and then we turn it on Teams? Blah blah blah. Get an external webcam with a long USB cable. You can place it anywhere and angle it as you see fit. Shielding J2 monitor, even better, place it on top of J2 monitor. You can also have a separate keyboard and mouse for your J2 means. Why would J1C an external monitor be a red flag? I use my personal monitor for years for jobs. Yeah, I mean I think this guy is just being quite ridiculous, honestly. I mean, have a good setup. You know what I mean? It is what it is. So I don't know. This guy's kind of weird. His concern is not really warranted in reality, I feel like. So yeah, we're just gonna move on. Let's see. So this guy says, "Why is overemployment worth it for you?" This is kind of interesting to me. I wish I had my water. It's okay. I'm just gonna do this last one, and then this will probably be the last one for this video. So, man, this guy wrote a 5-paragraph essay. Do I even want to go into this? Okay, let's see if it's interesting. So, why is overemployment worth it for you? I'm new to this sub, and I find it pretty fascinating. I'm very risk averse in general. So, yeah, I mean, if you're just learning about this actually might literally just be like the architect. This literally might be you. I'm very risk averse in general and like the idea of creating redundancy in my source of income. However, there are risks associated with overemployment. I'm sure you can get blacklisted if you get caught. No. In tech, if you work really hard and or are talented, you can make a lot of money. If you can score a high salary and manage to live cheaply, that gives you a lot of security without the risk of getting blacklisted. Yeah, I mean, that's true. If you have one job, you can do really well in tech. No one's saying you can't. obviously, like, getting multiple jobs is a very ambitious thing to do. Not for everyone. It's not easy, and it's high stress, and you have to have a very high throughput and a very high output for work. And you can think about it literally like having two jobs. You have a job and then you have a quote unquote side hustle. Instead of a quote unquote side hustle, you just have a second job. I mean, you have to understand you're going to be working all the time, right? For the most part, unless your job enables you to automate a lot of it, which I would say most of them do not, especially meetings. You're going to be working a lot, and that's just the reality. And if that's worth it for you, then sure. If not, then that's fine. I feel like you have to be super smart to pull off overemployment. Yeah, to be honest, you do. To be honest, you absolutely do. I mean, it doesn't mean that if you feel you're not the smartest, doesn't mean that it potentially isn't worth it for you, but you might mess up, and it is what it is. Why do you choose it over trying to grow in your career? It's such an obvious question. You literally double your salary overnight instead of in the next 10 years. You have insurance if your company goes under, or insurance if tech layoffs are severe, right? Or insurance if your boss doesn't like you, or insurance if your department gets cut. And then, so in any case where you get furloughed, you have another job and you're not like a homeless person, right? So it's insurance and doubling your income. And also, working in tech, for a lot of people, it's easy and boring. You hear it all the time, like, oh, this software engineer, his whole shift, all he's doing is trading stocks and playing video games, right? He's not even like working because the job is so easy. So it's like, instead of just playing, I don't know, Minecraft all day, why doesn't he just get a second job and just be more productive and just to push himself in that way? So it doesn't necessarily have to come from a place of like total insane greed. It's really not like that, Maybe it is for some people, but I mean, the insurance part is huge. But also just like the boredom factor, 40 hours in a job is not really realistic in most of these tech jobs. So the idea of having multiple ones is a great idea, because really they're just hiring you to get the thing done. The time frame of it is irrelevant. How much do you make in total with all the jobs? Couldn't you get that from one great job? No. What? No. If you look, if you have like 1 year experience or 3 year experience and you make 80K or you make 150K, that's how much you can get for your skills. If you have two jobs, you literally double it with the same amount of experience. How are you missing that point? Maybe we do have to go back to this part of, I feel like you have to be super smart, because this guy might not be that smart. It's very simple to understand. Thanks everyone who's answering. It was an honest question. I'm not a bootlicker. I have been laid off twice. Then you should be the most worried about the insurance factor. Last time was a few years before my first kid. You really need it. If you have children, why would you not have multiple jobs? And I had to quit one due to the company burning into flames. There you go. It's not even your fault. That's the bottom line. You can get laid off and it's not even your fault. That's why it's important. Because even if you're the best, you have month over month, you're the best employee, the company can go under. The whole department can get fired. It's just, 1,000 employees. All I care about is my family, and there is no quote-unquote company mission in the world that will make me believe that this is not all just a capital circus. Okay, that gets into the societal aspect. I'll just let that go for now. That being said, I've been lucky to make more than $350K from a single job. Okay, bro, hold up, pause. Yeah, if you're making $350 from a single job, then yeah, you don't need to be overemployed. But you have to realize... hold up, my thing. Hold up. Gotta get back in here. And there we go. Oh. Okay. What's the timestamp? Well, I'll have to find it. I can edit that out. Okay, bro, you have to understand. You're making $350K from a single job. You're literally like the top 0.1 or 0.01% of people in the world. So you're just devoid from reality. Most people make like 40 to 50K. If you're in tech, maybe you make 60 to 80K. If you're high up in tech, maybe you make low six figures. You're making $350, bro. Yeah, you don't need to be overemployed. You're devoid from reality. Like you're literally top 0.01% of income. So from a single job, and believe I can work my ass off to get there again. Insane. You're living in fantasy land. When I was laid off from the job, that severance was ridiculously good too. So I wasn't even that stressed about being laid off, bro. You're in a different playing field, bro. Like you're not even which I was an incredible luxury. Yeah, there you go. Since the previous time I was laid off, I had barely enough for 1 month rent when I found a new job. So I hear you all. I feel you. That being said, I do believe that building a career just on overemployment comes with risk. I could literally do 5 entry-level jobs around 80 to 100K in terms of my productivity. Okay, bro. Yeah, you say that now, but I would never get promoted. And if one day OE becomes illegal, that doesn't even make sense. Or companies are able to figure it out. Where does that leave me? I think it is easier, but still very hard for me to reach staff level and move into management. Pretend we're not just a speckle of dust drifting in nothingness and feel like it constantly have something to hide. Okay, yeah. I mean, that last part I think is a solid, viable argument. So, let me do this real quick. Yeah, so I think it is easier, but still very hard for me to reach staff level and move into management and pretend we're not just a speckle of dust drifting into nothingness, then feel like I constantly have something to hide. Yeah, I mean, you bring up a great point. If you really want to get to the top echelon of like, worker bees, if you really want to get to the top, mid to top level management role of, wage cucks, wagey slaves, then sure, you're gonna want to probably play the rules more, just because that's really I don't know, maybe, I'm not sure, I haven't been there, I haven't gotten there, so why would I know? But I'm just guessing that that's probably a better thing. And then also, yeah, if you derive a lot of meaning and pleasure out of like your company or something like that, or your job, then this whole thing about speckle of dust and nothingness, right, yeah, sure, but obviously you can derive meaning from like way more things than just like that. So it is a little bit of a straw man, although it is also a good point. And then talking about something constantly have something to hide, I mean, that's kind of a joke. Like there's really nothing to hide. Like nobody cares. You get the work done, you move on with your life. I don't judge any of you. I wish you all the best and definitely feel for you in each of your stories. I'll keep reading your posts and then maybe I'll change my mind one day. But as of now, I'll just put a mask on and pretend I care and try to play the game while trying to treat everyone who deserves it with respect. Okay, so there you go. So he literally contradicted himself. So first he says, for me, staff level management, and pretend we're not just a speckle of dust drifting into nothingness. So pretend we're not just a speckle of dust and drifting into nothingness and feel like constantly something to hide. So this guy, it sounds like that's actually what he's thinking, is that there is no meaning anyway. And then here he says, I'll just put a mask on and pretend I care and try to play the game. Well, it's okay. There you go. That's the crux of it. It's like, are you too much of a wuss to jump out of playing the game? Because he said up here, I'm very risk averse in general, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's what it comes down to. Like, are you too much of a wuss to put some risk on the table, right? Put your galls on the table to not play the game? Or are you just going to want to take the easy path and play the game? And that's up for you to decide. This is a very long post. Very high effort posting here. Okay, let's get into this. So this guy says, can't speak for anyone but myself, but I think the answers to your questions are basically answered here every day. Here are some general things to think about. Okay, this is going to be a really good point to end on, just because it's going to cover a lot of stuff, and then I'll probably just end this video here. So number one of 7. Number 1, ultimately it's worth it because overemployment puts you years ahead. Think about this. Let's say you make $5K per month with one job, and your expenses are $4K. You save $1K per month. Let's say then you get another job and now you make $10K per month. If you're an idiot, you'll spend all that $10K every month and have nothing to show for it. But if you're smart and don't increase your spending, you now save $6K per month instead of that $1K. That's not double. That's 6 times as much. You went from saving $12K a year to $72K a year. You put yourself 5 years ahead in the same 1-year time frame. That is why overemployment is worth it. That is how people are able to pay off their debt so quickly with overemployment. That is what helps you get fuck you money. That is what puts you far more in control of your life than if you were to have one job. Absolutely. for the most part, unless you're in a very small industry, there really isn't the risk of getting blacklisted like at all. Like literally any of my 3 jobs found out about, like literally if any of my 3 jobs found out about each other, I could immediately go out and find 3 more pretty easily due to my experience and be right back at it. So even if I did get caught eventually due to point 0.1 above, I'll be so far ahead that it was still worth it at the end of the day. Exactly. The risk aspect of it is like a non sequitur. Once you're in it, the risk aspect pretty much goes away. Yes, it's technically possible to find a really good job. However, it usually takes years of experience. This is what I was saying earlier. Saying if you have 1 year experience or 3 year experience, how are you going to get a 350K job? Like, you don't live in reality. It's going to take years of experience, grinding, ass kissing, etc., to get jobs making the type of money that I'm currently making. I'm not an ass kisser, and I don't care enough for these companies to grind hard for their goals. Also, these high-paying jobs usually ask more of you from a work and time perspective, and there are only so many of them available. So yeah, I overemploy because I can make executive money now in my mid-30s instead of my late 40s and 50s without the headaches and time commitment that typically come with executive positions. I really don't care about prestige and all the other BS. Just pay me. Yeah. And you can get status and prestige in other fashions as well. So just keep that in mind. It's not that status is irrelevant. It's just that we kind of accept that the juice is not worth the squeeze to climb that ladder. And this is just a better opportunity. Take advantage of it while we can. Do you have to be super smart to overemployment? I actually don't really think so. You just need to be reasonably good at whatever job you do. Good at time management, context switching. That's a huge one. Context switching for sure. You have to be able to go from one thing, reorient yourself with something, and then get right to it. Reorient yourself with another thing, get right to it, and just do that multiple times, all over and over and over and over. Keep your head down. Don't draw attention to yourself, and not be dumb enough to do some of the common things that people get caught for. Obviously, like multi-meetings, stuff like that. Screw growing my career. I have no desire to get into management. Be responsible for other people's BS, whether that be BS, business BS, or personal BS. I just want to do my job, get paid, leave, and let that be that. Also, I would encourage you to reconsider what you consider risky. I'd argue that having one job is risky. Exactly. The insurance of having multiple jobs greatly it's the opposite of risk, which is why he got fired when his company went under or something. You have one job, you get laid off, and boom, that's it for you. Now you're scrambling trying to take any job you can get so you can keep paying the bills. If you're overemployed, you get laid off, it might set you back slightly, but unless you're an idiot and haven't been aggressively improving your financial situation, living off only one job or less, then you're going to be good in shape. It gives you time and space to consider how to move forward in the best way possible. It gives you more options. Also, overemployment has allowed me to leave situations that no longer serve me. At 2 of my jobs, my manager left, and then things changed dramatically for the worse. It was no longer what I signed up for. Instead of having to put up with the BS of the new regime like most people would, I was able to just quit and find another job like clockwork both times. There you go. So now you have the power. And again, you're still doing a great job. You just have the power to leave if you so want to. Basically, I could never see myself going back to only having one job. I will have 2 at least for the foreseeable future, perhaps until I retire, which, by the way, will be dramatically sped up now that I'm overemployed. And there you go. So I'm going to call it a day, and hopefully you guys like the video, and that's that.